Korean movies of 2021, guys. This year's looking good. 안녕하세요 여러분. Welcome to Cinemaria, the land of South Korean cinema. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with this year's Korean flicks. Last year was kind of a disappointment, but I feel pretty excited for this year. And that is partly thanks to today's movie, Night in Paradise, or Nagone Pam. The movie was directed by Park Kun-jung, who wrote the screenplay for I Saw the Devil, and it stars Am Tae-gu, Chun Yo-bin, Park Ho-san. He plays a gang leader this time. This is a very different role that I'm used to seeing by him. It was so refreshing. And last but not least, Cha Seung-won. Am Tae-gu plays a gangster whose sister and niece gets killed in a car accident. Suspecting it was the job of a rival gang, he takes revenge on them, but that means he has to leave the country. With the help of his boss, he is sent to Jeju Island to an arms dealer and his niece, played by Chun Yo-bin. He has 1 week to leave, but the powers over his head are gathering against him. Overall, you could say that Night in Paradise is a gangster movie, but it's not your typical one. Usually gangster movies are about the life of a gangster, from becoming one to his inevitable downfall. And they're pretty predictable, but Night in Paradise takes a different route. So much so that it becomes a melting pot of different genres, namely crime, action, and drama. The first thing I noticed was how well the main character was set up. The first 3 opening scenes tell you so much about him, it's ridiculous. He's a gangster, he's pretty high up in his clan, but he's also a person, a deeply caring person. He just happens to be a gangster, and can kill you at any time. Humans! Anyway, the way Am Tae-gu portrays this character is really interesting. He's just an ordinary guy who happens to have a job that can be bloody sometimes. And bloody it is! Ha ha ha! Am Tae-gu was awesome in this movie, by the way, but his performance is very subtle. He can even come across as boring to some, because he's very much reserved for much of this movie, but it's because he's absolutely broken. He basically lost everything. He doesn't really have a will to live anymore. And he's not upfront about it. He keeps a lot of it to himself. So as I said, the movie is a mix of different genres, and it pretty much delivers on all fronts. It's as much a drama as anything else, and I really enjoyed the dramatic bits. It's also a crime movie, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it too, especially when the higher-ups were having a meeting. It was crazy to see how easily they decide the fate of others. And then there's the action, which is... more on that a little later. Now, if you're expecting a high-energy movie, you might get disappointed with this one though. It's 2 hours and 14 minutes, and it has a pretty consistent rhythm to it. I thought it was very well placed, I really enjoyed the rhythm of it, but I know that certain people will find the movie a bit too slow. I thought it was really well done, especially because the main characters experience a lot of horrible shit, and the movie is letting them at least try to cope with it, but I know that certain people will find this movie boring. Also, this mix of different genres might be too much to some people. In fact, I read some reviews where they were mentioning that this mix of action, crime, and drama was too much for them. I happen to love this stuff, and I think that Koreans are probably the best when it comes to mixing different genres together, but if that's not your thing, you might want to enjoy Night in Paradise as much as I did. But if you're a fan of some truly bloody action, you're at the right place. Oh my god! I loved each and every action scene in this movie. They were fucking bloody as hell, they were brutal, they were intense, merciless, raw, what else can I say? I was immensely impressed. It's been quite a long time since I saw a movie like this. I mean, it doesn't hold back at all, and I loved every second of it. The only problem is that these scenes are quite sparse and they're pretty sudden for the most part, but basically each and every action scene in this movie is perfect and fucking brutal. I'm talking about Tarantino levels of blood, although the movie has nothing to do with Tarantino. So the action is freaking amazing, but my other favorite aspect of the movie was the relationship between Am Tae-gu and Chun Yo-bin. They meet because of the circumstances, but weirdly enough, they end up in a pretty similar place mentally and emotionally. And although they don't spend that much time together, considering the things that they've gone through, it's absolutely understandable that they have some sort of a bond. And I don't mean this romantically, it's much deeper than that. And speaking of Chun Yo-bin, she can handle guns pretty well in this movie. I mean, it's understandable she's living with an arms dealer, but man! But again, that's not her main character trait. She actually has a very serious disease, and she, just like Am Tae-gu, has given up on her life. And yet there's a certain liveliness about her, and Chun Yo-bin was really good in this movie. And this sort of duality is basically true for the whole movie. In a way, this is a very sad movie, but it has some beautiful moments as well. It shows that life can still offer some beautiful things even when things are absolutely terrible. One more actor I'd like to mention is Cha Seung-won, because for a long time I thought that he was the most cliched character. He played a high-ranking gangster and he was a very stereotypical figure, up until the very end. As it turns out, even some gangsters have some strong moral values, and I really appreciated how the movie was able to surprise me with this character. I only have one problem with Night in Paradise, and that has to do with the cinematography. The movie has this very typical grayish, dark greenish color grading, which is very much overused, and it makes the whole movie look bland. There's also a lot of rain, And I get it, the creators were trying to set an atmosphere for the movie, and while the film definitely has an atmosphere, I would have loved to see some more color here. Again, I understand the intention of the creators, but you don't have to use this boring color grading to create that atmosphere. And it's especially sad because, while overall I would say that this is a pretty average looking movie, certain shots really stand out. There are some fantastic shots in the movie with great framing, with great lighting. Now those really set an atmosphere. I would have loved to see more of those, but usually they were fleeting moments. But honestly, I don't think there was a minute I did not enjoy in this movie. Because I found Night in Paradise to be visually bland, I'm gonna give this one 93%. But substance-wise, this is a great movie. It's ridiculous, I've been watching Korean movies for quite a while now, and I keep finding movies that remind me why I started watching Korean movies in the first place. If you like action movies that are not just full-blown action but also kind of moody, this might be a great choice. 여러분, 오늘은 여기까지만 해요. 영상 봐주셔서 감사합니다. 이 영상 좋아하면 구독해주세요. See you very soon. 다음 시간에 만나요, 여러분. 안녕히 계세요. Bye!